Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us. Joined by Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome again to the program.
Thank you.
We are ready to talk about what's happening in Maple Grove, fresh off National Night Out. So We've got a lot of that to talk about. We've got 3 meetings, in fact 3 this time to talk about, and we've got many other things that are coming up in town. So Heidi, thanks again for joining us. Let's start with meeting number 1, and it's a kickoff to a process that we've mentioned a few times, comprehensive plan. What happened at 5:30? What is going on right now with the comp plan?
Yeah, so we kicked off the comp plan meeting process, and this is every 10 years, cities in the metropolitan region are required to submit a comprehensive plan update to the Metropolitan Council, which is our regional government that oversees land use and systems such as transportation, sewer systems, those kinds of things, surface water. So we are in the process of updating our comprehensive plan. It's due to the Met Council by the end of 2018. Monday night was really sort of an introductory meeting, providing sort of the system statements from Met Council about what their expectation is for this comprehensive plan update and sort of setting the stage for the discussions that will take place now over the next 6 to 8 months. The initial phase, we're working with, we have 4 representatives from the Planning Commission and 2 representatives from the City Council, and they'll be kind of working through some of that information. We have other stakeholders that we need to meet with in terms of large property owners, the school district, and we'll be doing that through this process as well. And then there will be opportunities for community input, engagement, response as we move closer, maybe towards the winter months. So lots of work to be done. You know, lots of work to be done in terms of kind of checking where we are and thinking about the future land use and really the build out of Maple Grove. But the focus areas primarily will be in the balance of the gravel mining area up on the 610 corridor. And then in the southwest area we have some areas that'll likely the land uses down there are mainly residential, and so they'll continue to develop out in that way. So we just need to kind of make sure everything's lined up the way that we want it. But again, the focus area is really in the 610 corridor and the gravel mining area.
Very good. And there are many chapters to this comp plan. If you haven't seen one before, it is a thick document, and again breaks down things such as development and transportation, even some of the ways people get around town. So there's a lot of information. Again, more information on the city's website. Is the whole comp plan, the existing comp plan, on the city's website?
I believe that it is. I believe
certainly
that it
people
is.
could stop by and get the book if they wanted to. And the next time you'll talk about this, I believe, is September 6th. Is that the correct date?
Yep. We won't have a meeting on the 15th of August here, but the next meeting will be September 6th. We'll be kind of diving into some of those specific land use areas. So,
all right, and we'll try to keep you up to date on that process as it moves along. Meeting number 2 on the night was a talk about the community survey questions. So give us a little background. What is this survey? And kind of a heads up to the residents of Maple Grove. Keep your eyes on the mail.
So about every 5 years, the city of Maple Grove has a history of going out with a community survey and ask questions about our residents and businesses. You know, how do they feel about whether they're living in the city or they're doing business in the city. And so we go out with a survey that talks about quality of life and development issues and safety, public safety, those kinds of things. So because of the comp planning process and because we're going to be starting a little more on the economic development front, a little more proactive, we thought it was good at this point to get out and move that timeline for that survey up a bit. So we're moving it up about 18 months. The survey will be going out to homes in September, and because of kind of the transition away from many people no longer have landlines, survey companies have started to use mail. So if you'll watch your mail, if you get a survey from the city, we'd really appreciate it if you'd take the time to fill it out. It's important information that we want to get back. So that's kind of one data set, is the mail survey, and that speaks to our residents. We're also going to have an online version. That data set will be kept separate because the mail portion is kind of the statistically significant data that we can rely on. The online survey would be a little bit more broad, and you know, if you're a business owner, property owner, resident, a visitor, you could provide a response to that, and that information will be kind of categorized in that fashion so we understand who's responding to what. So really encourage people to get out there and respond. We're interested in what your thoughts and observations are about the community, and it really helps guide kind of future planning.
All right, so September is the time frame to look for that. Just a couple points to clarify. So will every resident in Maple Grove be mailed a survey, or it's just just a certain number, again, that statistically important number.
Yeah, so
much like the phone surveys of the past.
Correct. No, not every resident will get a mailed survey. They'll be randomly selected.
Got it. Okay.
We're looking to get somewhere between 400 and 500 responses.
Perfect.
So they send out a number in excess of that, but our goal is to get that number of responses to hit that kind of that statistical requirement. So.
Okay, so if you don't get it, don't feel bad.
No, you can go
It's just
online and respond.
Statistically how they do it, but
Yep.
again, go online. Now, a question might be, if I get one mailed to me, should I go online and do one as well, or will that confuse the process?
Well, clearly we'd like to have one response per person, so
Okay.
if you get one in the mail, I guess you could consider yourself having given your
Okay.
feedback. So
Very good.
yeah.
All right, some of those odd questions that residents may think
Sure.
of. So watch for the survey, it will be coming. All right, third meeting of the night was the actual council meeting,
Yep.
again on Monday the 1st because of National Night Out. 40-minute long was the meeting. Let's talk a little bit about some of the items in consent agenda. A lot of subdivisions moving along. That
Yep.
is kind of the regular process through
Yep.
some of the things that are happening, correct?
Yeah, so a few of our subdivisions that we've talked about in the past, Cambridge Park, Hamilton Rush Creek, Plokias Meadows, all of those are kind of moving through the process to get finalized with both their public improvements and plats and whatnot. So you'll see some action on some of those developments yet this year likely.
Another item from the consent agenda was something we're going to talk about a little bit later in greater detail, but just to point out, the council did talk about this, the farmers market. What
Yeah.
happened there?
Yeah, so Farmers Market Week in Minnesota, Minnesota Farmers Market Week is August 7th through the 13th, and we've been selected by the Minnesota Department of Ag to be the location for sort of the kickoff or the celebration of Minnesota Farmers Market Week, and that's this Thursday, August 4th. Events happening at the Farmers Market at 3:30, from about 3:30 to 4. There will be representatives from the Minnesota Department of Ag there. Carrie Tolson, former Olympic runner, will be there representing kind of the Minnesota-grown Department of Ag programs, and we'll have some activities around that. Market runs from 3 to 7,
Right.
but these activities will be focused around from 3:30 to 4. Members of the council will be there. So it should be a nice event and some great recognition for the efforts in Maple Grove around the farmers market.
Congratulations to that group, and again, make an effort to head out and
Yep.
see some of that extra activity. Let's move ahead to special business, a few items that we want to talk about. Number one is an introduction of a new staff person.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Carrie.
Yeah, so Carrie Furman joined the team here earlier in July. Carrie comes to us from the city of Vadnais Heights. She's been there as their Community and Economic Development Director for a few years, and so we're real happy to have her on board. She's been working real hard to get up to speed with everything that's going on here in Maple Grove. We're kind of putting together some policies and programs around economic development, and at this point in Maple Grove's growth, we're really focused on kind of that office and industry market. From a retail perspective, we don't really need additional retail development, but we really want to focus on kind of growing jobs and getting some of those good office users to town. Some of the toughest stuff to do from an economic development
Sure.
perspective, but the council's interested in putting together some incentive programs, so we're going to be working on that. Other things that she'll be focused on, dealing with some workforce issues, transit issues for some of our existing employers. We want to really focus on our existing businesses in town and make sure if they have expansion needs, we want to keep them in town. We want to keep the jobs that we have here today and then grow them if there's opportunities to do that. So she's got a full plate, and over the next 6 to 9 months, you'll see some of those things coming forward to the council for consideration. But really, this is kind of embarking on a little bit of a new program here.
So is she the key person now as time moves on, that if I'm a business owner in Maple Grove, I would contact if I have questions, comments, thoughts about the city? Does she kind of play that role to be that immediate tie-in?
Absolutely, yeah. Particularly, if a business is just having issues in the city with whatever it is, traffic, or they have tax questions, or whatever it might be, they're having difficulty finding labor, those kinds of things. We'd be happy to kind of be that resource for the business community. So certainly Carrie will be that contact at City Hall. So that's kind of top priority is making sure we're addressing the needs of our existing businesses as well.
And I'm sure you'll see her on TV soon as well.
Yeah.
She can't hide from us too
Nope,
long, so
nope.
we'll get her on.
Yes.
We have Carrie coming in, but we have a few firefighters that are retiring. Tell
Yeah.
us about those firefighters.
Yeah, so we presented the helmets to retiring firefighters Ron Jacobson and Fran McLaughlin. Ron had 21 and a half years of service and Fran 20 years of service, so long-serving members. We really appreciate their service and want to thank them and their families for their commitment to the city over that very long time frame. We know it's not just the firefighter service, but it's that of their family, because they're
Right.
often running out in the middle of what's an important family event, or in the middle of the night, or Christmas dinner or something, and we understand those impacts to the family and what it means to serve. So we appreciate their longstanding service, and we wish them well now in their next chapter, where they might not have to be listening for that beeper quite so much.
That is correct. Very
Yeah.
good. Well, we talked about Maple Grove Days the last time we got together and the success that was. Part of Maple Grove Days is the ambassador program, and so the
Yeah.
ambassadors made a visit to the council meeting, and you had a chance to chat a little bit. Tell us about the ambassadors and really the work that they do for the city. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It is, and they are incredibly busy, particularly now after Maple Grove Days until kind of the school season starts. So Ellie Brimmeyer, Kelly Richardson, and Megan Nelson are the 3 new ambassadors for Maple Grove. They were in attendance at the meeting on Monday night. They were part of National Night Out last night. They rode along in a couple different vehicles and got out to the neighborhoods, and really their job is to represent Maple Grove, and they're focused on their goals are really to kind of focus on kind of public relations, growing their professional skills, and all of them, I think the age range is 17 to 21, so they're either finishing up high school or they're in college or heading off to college, and these are really young professional women who are this is an opportunity for them to kind of fine-tune those skills that they'll need as
Sure.
they enter their career, and it's a great way to represent the community. So it's a really neat partnership between the ambassador organization and the city.
And I know they have a wonderful organization. I just wonder, as time marches on throughout the year, is there a regular contact in the city that they work with, or that they shadow, if you will, to learn things and to get tied into different events, or is that all the ambassador program that does that work?
Yeah, that's kind of the ambassador program.
Okay.
We, between Carol Morris and myself, if there's opportunities where we think, oh, this might be neat for the ambassadors to be a part of this. For instance, the farmers market event, they're going
Sure.
to be part of that. So we will connect with Jillian and Rebecca Key. They kind of lead the program and identify some of those opportunities, but clearly they're involved in so many different things in the community. I was asking them last night if they had a little bit of a respite now before they
Right.
went back to where they
Sure.
go off to college, and they said, no, I think we have 20 events between now and the end of okay.
Oh,
Well,
my goodness.
so no rest for the weary there, but yeah, they just lots of opportunities to be out representing the community.
Great
so.
contribution to the
Yep.
city. One other item under special business was a liquor license violation, and that was Noodle Shop Company. But the good news on this is that was the only one, but the bad news is that was one.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about, again, this whole project and what is done on a regular basis in the city, and then a little bit about Noodle Company.
Yeah, so the liquor compliance checks is something we do twice a year. Our police department goes out and does compliance checks with all of our liquor license holders to check for sale to minor. And you're right, the good story is we only had one this time, but we had one, and unfortunately this was the 3rd violation in a 3-year period. So we measure that over that 3-year period to see, okay, are they changing their program? Are they improving their training? And then the penalties kind of step up during that 3-year period. Some discretion of the council, if because their first violation will fall off in October, but if they were to have another violation in December, the council has some discretion to kind of amp up that penalty there too. But it is a 10-day 10-day suspension at this time, at least a 10-day suspension, and then they can also impose a civil penalty for up to $2,000. So I think what that represents is how serious the city takes this in terms of we want to make sure that businesses are, following the liquor laws. They're not taking their liquor license for granted. We don't want sales to minors happening in the city.
Right.
And the other, the other things we do to try to support that is we offer training, free training to their employees. We encourage them to get all their employees out. I think it helps if they come to the training for the employees to understand there's impacts to them as well, and they want to make sure that they aren't subject to any of those penalties on a personal level. So I think that training tries to help paint that picture and make them aware of what those implications are. So we'll continue to work with them to try to get more of their staff into the training. But yeah, unfortunate one that we had to deal with Monday night.
That is the last item in special business. Let's move ahead to community development. A lot, as always, happening in the city of Maple Grove in this area. We talked about the Mirabel project the last time. Tell us what happened last time and how this is now moving ahead.
Yeah, so this is a Mirabel project. It's kind of a small lot, single family project, kind of a detached townhome type product across from the community center right there at Norwood and Weaver. This was a parcel that the city owned that we had entered into a purchase agreement with Pulte on that for that project. It's a piece of land that the city had owned for some time and had been out marketing for the sale of that. So at the last meeting, all of the items related to this got tabled. We had a neighborhood come forward from a former Pulte development on the west side of town that had expressed concerns about a few things. Some of the trees that were planted in the boulevard failed to thrive and hadn't grown, and some had died and whatnot, and so they were concerned about the condition of the boulevard. They had some other concerns that were probably a little bit more private matters in terms of driveway conditions, problems with the construction of the homes, those kinds of things. So the council tabled this in an effort to provide Pulte an opportunity to respond. We went back to Pulte. I think we felt that the piece that was sort of in the city realm was that of the public right-of-way and the trees that were in the public right-of-way. And so Pulte is going to be replacing those trees in the right-of-way. The private matters kind of moved to the, between the homeowner and Pulte, and so that will be addressed in that fashion, however the homeowners wish to do that. But the Mirabel project was moved forward then with their development stage final plat and rezoning, and then also we move forward on the public improvements for that project. So that one's then kind of wrapped up, and we'll see the boulevard trees replaced out in the former development on the west end of town.
Very good.
Yep.
Other items in that area reported on that might be coming up.
Yeah.
Hy-Vee number 2 back on the radar. Tell us what's happening there.
Yeah, so second Hy-Vee store up in the Maple Grove Parkway area, just off of 610, what will be the new exit off of 610 at Maple Grove Parkway, kind of across the street from Super Target. I think we had mentioned in the past the site had some complications. It had some covenants over it about a pharmacy and some tree and wetland issues, so we've been working through some of that to try to minimize some of the impacts on the site, but it sounds like this one's going to be moving forward as well. The one just up 610 at Zane opened. In fact, when I was out last night at National Night Out, I heard from a lot of residents about how much they, they've gone up to visit that store to kind of get a sneak peek of what it will be in Maple Grove. And really have enjoyed it. So I think having that then, further down on 610, serving kind of that northwest area, I think people are excited about it. So we'll see if this one gets all the way through the process.
So we better mention quick update on Hy-Vee number 1 in Maple Grove then. How's that coming along? Work starting there, moving along?
Yeah, they've closed on the land, so now they're in the queue there for Hy-Vee's development process. I do believe they're going to be starting some grading this fall, late this summer if they haven't already. I haven't driven by the site in the last week, but I do know that they were anxious to get going. So hopefully maybe by a year from now.
All right. Yeah. We'll keep you up to date. Keep watching that corner. One other item, community development, another subdivision that was briefly talked about. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, Woods at Rush Creek. This is another one kind of on the southwest side. Some of this area that I've been talking about that, we have some pockets of larger lots that are primed for residential development. So we kind of keep seeing them being plucked off in, 20, 30 lot type developments is kind of the typical thing we're seeing nowadays. So we'll see that one come through the process too out on the west side in the Rush Creek area.
Let's move to engineering public works. We mentioned Mirabel, that again is moving through the process, so some items there continued along. But 610 was talked about as well, so let's give people an update there. If they look out on the roadway, they go, Some work to be done, and the city sees that as well.
We do, and we've been on the phone with MnDOT asking how are we doing, because it feels like there's a lot of road to build before the end of the year here, and the goal is to have a ribbon cutting, and we'd like to do that when it's not
that would be nice.
28 degrees and snowing.
Good.
So we're pushing on them a little bit. They were telling us about 2 weeks ago that they were 3 weeks behind, and now they're telling us they're 2 weeks behind. And I was out driving that way this morning, and there was more activity than I had seen in recent weeks, so I was encouraged by that. So I think, we'll just keep on them. We want to see this project completed by the end of this construction season and have that roadway open. I think with 494 opening and 610 opening, it would be great to have both of those things come at the same time.
Yes.
So we'll keep pushing on this one.
All right. Final couple items from the meeting on the 1st. You had a chance to update people on a few things, and one of the favorite topics of a city administrator was talked about the budget.
Yes.
The budget is ready to kick off. Tell us
is.
just about what the process is, what the whole time frame is.
Yeah, so our budget process at the City of Maple Grove starts really kind of around late April, May timeframe. Internally, the department directors are charged with filling out their budget worksheets and thinking about their budget requests for the next fiscal year 2017. Jim Knutson, our finance director, then with his team puts that all together, kind of gets it into a draft form. There's a lot of back and forth between Jim and the department directors in terms of kind of ferreting out wants and needs, I guess, and understanding what the requests, why, if there's an increase, what is the need for that. So we get to a point now where we kind of have a draft budget. We will be meeting with the council on August 15th to review that draft budget and get feedback from the council about that. I think the biggest piece that sits in there is we have some requests for some new positions, and so the council kind of has some time to think about that and prioritize and get some feedback about why a position might be being requested. Our requirement, we have to set the preliminary levy to the county by September 30th, so we have a little bit of room here. Meetings in September, I think, fall on the 6th and the 20th or around there, and so we would have to set the preliminary levy by that second meeting in September. What that is kind of the high water mark. You can't increase the levy from there, but you can always decrease the levy from there. But tax statements go out based on that, so we want to make sure that that's to the extent possible, pretty accurate picture of what that levy increase is going to look like, or what that levy will look like. So more work to be done here, but we're ready to get in front of the council with the budget, and I think where we're at now from a preliminary perspective is just a touch over 2%. So I think they've always tried to take kind of a conservative approach to it, and so we'll see what the council thinks.
Potentially good news, more to come. One final item that was added to the agenda or discussed was about signs in the city. Just a quick update on that. Sounds like something that might come back to another meeting.
Yeah, so we've heard from a few folks. Maple Grove has not had we've not used dynamic signage to any great extent in the city, particularly in the commercial districts, and so there's some interest in taking a look at that. Dynamic signage has come a long way in terms of how from the old kind of pixel boards to now being more graphic and having a little bit more control over form and function. So not sure where this one will land. The kind of one of the dreaded tasks always of city staff is redoing the sign ordinance, because it's fussy, and there's a lot of things to consider within that about how it gets deployed. So we're going to take a look at a couple different aspects of the sign ordinance, but you'll likely see some discussion coming back on that issue in the weeks ahead. All
right, so there's your recap of the council meeting. Let's move ahead in our last few minutes to a couple other items that happened in town. And obviously the big item from last night as we're taping this program was National Night Out. So give us some of the numbers and just some of the reaction of how that night went.
Yeah, 186 parties.
Fantastic.
Last night.
That's great.
I made it to 8, so
that's pretty good.
Not quite all of them, but that was a full evening.
Yes,
I think most of the teams left City Hall around 6 o'clock, and we gathered back around 9 o'clock. So it was a full evening, and of course it always has to be 89 and humid on National Night Out. So it was a warm evening.
And then you were out in the afternoon as well. So the kickoff event at the community center, how did that go?
Really well. The kickoff event from 11 to 1. folks could come for a free hot dog lunch. That was provided by Costco, so that was a nice community partnership there. Lots of public safety displays there. The North Memorial helicopter came. They had State Patrol demos set up, all kinds of things. So a lot of folks out there with their kids. Some of the, if you had the daycare kids, they brought them all down, which is great. So I think they usually have about 1,500 people who show up for that daytime event at the community center. It was a great kickoff.
Very good. Congratulations to the city. Let's talk about the photo contest. There was a call for entries. We had talked about that multiple times before, and I think the call worked because you've had many entries.
Yeah, so over 100 residents participated and submitted 380 photos, which is 2.5 times more than 2015 when we had 150 entries.
Okay.
So whoever's responsible for judging this year has their work cut out for them.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, but the good news is we have so many great images now of Maple Grove to use in our various communications. So I think it was the online submission process that really made it easy for people. They didn't have to come to City Hall. They didn't have to print anything. It was just pretty slick. They could upload, and it worked great. So proof's in the pudding there. It worked well, and I know Carol Morris at City Hall is really excited about being able to use these new pictures that we have.
So watch for some of those on the city's website and also in upcoming publications. We mentioned the Farmers Market again. National Farmers Market Week is August 7th through the 13th. The event this week on Thursday the 4th, if you're watching it real quickly here, starts at 3:30 at the Farmers Market. But again, the full market goes from 3 to 7. So make sure you take some time to get out and enjoy that. And it goes through October 20th. Town Green, just a quick mention, there's some more events. Summer's not over, still some things to do.
It's not over, no. And Thursday, August 4th is the Bazillions, and that's a daytime children's interactive performance. Friday, August 5th, we have the Minions movie at the Town Green.
Sounds good.
Monday, August 8th, Blind Joe, and this is, he was in the Voice TV show, so kind of a popular.
Sure.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that one on the calendar. I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing. And then Wednesday, August 10th, the performance by the Kenwood Symphony Orchestra. That's 50 highly accomplished volunteer musicians of diverse ages and occupations, and they're all passionate about playing and sharing great music. So that should be a nice evening out there as well.
That is all at the Town Green, and then let's move over a little bit to Central Park. A lot of work has been done there, and the city was recognized for that.
Yeah, so the Parks and Recreation Board received the 2015 Minnesota Parks Recreation Park Association Award of Excellence for Parks and Facilities for Central Park. Wonderful. So the Minnesota Recreation and Park Association is kind of the professional association in Minnesota for parks and recreation programs, and they annually recognize agencies for new parks and facilities that exhibit an exceptional planning process, make significant community impact, and then demonstrate originality and uniqueness. And I think Central Park certainly hit all of those requirements. So
I think residents would agree.
Yeah, and if you haven't been out yet, boy, what a great time of the year to get out with and it's been hot, so the splash pad has been very popular. And then get over to the playground and then just enjoy all of even the more passive areas of the park. So it's quite a treasure. And then again, we get to look forward to, as the fall comes to us, the skating season starting again in November. So
all right, more fun to come. Let's talk about elections quickly here as we end. The primary is on August 9th. No city races to talk about at that point. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., 24 precincts in the city, and the website, great place to go if people need more information. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the city races. Tell us about that opportunity now for people to throw their hat in the ring.
Yeah, so filing for council is open. It started August 2nd, and it will close at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, August 16th. We have 2 council member seats that their terms are up, Councilmember Johnson and Councilmember Hanson. So both of those folks have an opportunity to run again, and others have an opportunity to file. So information's on the website. There's a filing packet that you need to pick up that gives you information about the campaigning and election process, signage, those kinds of things, materials, what you need to put on your campaign materials. So you want to make sure you have that interaction with our city clerk, Amy Dietl, and she's prepared to connect with those folks if they have an interest, but all that information is available on our website as well.
Very good. As we run out of time, just want to make a quick mention. Congratulations to Larry Huff, longtime employee, is retiring. He worked in the building department, and a fashion show coming up for fashion conscious people August 17th, and that is put on by Park and Rec. That is again the 17th and the 18th when those will be happening. More information on the city's website. Heidi, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Next meeting, let's show you when that is. It is Monday the 15th of August, 7:30 at the Government Center. Website on the top of the screen. Any questions or comments? 533-1710 is our viewer response line. For Heidi Nielsen, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us.